This podcast is made possible by supporters like you. Mahalo. And by Atlas Insurance Agency, Hawaii's largest professional agency, helping Hawaii navigate insurance solutions since 1929. More at atlasinsurance.com.
Aloha, my kako. Welcome to a new episode of What's Going On? Start every conversation with that question. I'm Ron Mizutani, and today we're talking story with a recent high school graduate who will soon be heading off to college. Like many college-bound students, Madison Iwashita stayed busy in high school, participating in different activities, dance, sports like canoe paddling. And last year, Madison added a distinguished title to her already decorated scholastic resume when she was named 2024 Distinguished Woman of Hawaii. We are very pleased to welcome Madison to the program. Welcome to PBS Hawaii, Madison.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's so cool to have you here. Before we continue, what school you at?
I just graduated from Sacred Hearts Academy.
Well, Lancers.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a lifer?
I am. I started attending when I was 3 years old because my dad actually works at Sacred Hearts.
Nice.
So it's become a second family,
No
second
kidding.
home to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
My wife is a Lancer.
Yes.
Is a Sacred Hearts girl. I told her that I was going to be interviewing a fellow alum. So I'm pleased to have you sitting across from me because I look at what you've accomplished and I'm intrigued by it all because the thing that jumped off the page, you'd never even thought about a pageant, if you will, or on stage kind of. What made you decide, hey, I'd like to try that, see where it takes me?
My counselor during my junior year actually volunteers with the program, and so she told me, I think this would be a really great program for you and I think you could do well in it. And so I knew that I could get scholarship money out of it, and of course me and my parents were like, okay, I should do this, just get a little head start in, paying for my future. So I decided to participate in the program, and I hadn't really done anything like it before, but it ended up being a great new experience where I was able to work on, my speaking skills and just becoming a more well-rounded person.
Yeah, and this is a scholarship
Program, yes.
It's been around for many, many, many years. 1958 it first started. Over 780,000 young women have gone through this process. Mm-hmm. But only a chosen few are called distinguished awardees, if you will. And it's been a long time since Sacred Hearts had one. Mm-hmm. I said something close to 30 years.
Around 30 years,
How does that feel?
I'm glad that I was able to represent my school in the state program and then on the national stage. It means a lot because my school is it's a big part of who I am, and I was just glad that I was able to bring the title back to Sacred Hearts, and, everyone was super happy, super glad. One of my old teachers, her daughter actually was the one who won the title last.
Wow.
So it was a fun time.
I bet. Okay, take us through the process because for those who are at home or listening on podcast land, the Distinguished Young Women Program is nationwide.
Yes. And
each state has its own competition, if
yes.
you will. What are you judged by? Is that the right word, judged? Mm-hmm. Or what are you, how is it scored?
So there's 5 categories in the program. 2 happen before the actual show or program actually occurs. So for the state level, we had an interview, which is worth 25% of your total score with a panel of judges. And you're also based on your scholastics beforehand. And then once the actual state program or national program begins, you're on stage performing a talent, which is 20%, and then a fitness routine. It's a choreographed fitness routine. And then you take part in self-expression, which is where you'll be asked a question and you have to respond on stage.
So it's impromptu, that last part? Or do they give you an idea what?
For preliminaries,
yeah.
They let you know what the question is like a couple hours ahead of time. But at the national finals, there's like 8 finalists, and they have to answer their question on the spot.
Oof.
Yeah.
And it could be anything.
It could be anything. It could be political. It could be personal.
That's intense. I mean, at any level of, at any level of a life, to have that impromptu
For sure.
pressure is, not everybody can manage that, and not everybody can handle that. But you enjoyed it. You did, well, obviously you did extremely well here locally. And I want to go back a little bit because you talked about Scholastic, and this is about also scholarship and next steps and your new adventure. Where are you off to?
I'm going to attend Tufts University.
Wow.
Start there this fall.
Just outside of Boston.
Just outside of Boston.
Why you chose that? I know that part of the package of what you won included obviously scholarship monies.
Yes.
It did include a full ride to HPU.
Yes, it did.
Obviously, Tufts was on your list of places to visit, and you fell in love with that area.
Yes, I really like the Boston area, and I really like that I could be in a suburban area but close to a big city. And then their international relations program is actually what first intrigued me about Tufts. And just after I did a digital fly-in with them, so I got to talk to current students, and I got to learn more about the student life there, and just learning what I could after I did my campus tour and then the digital fly-in. I felt that I could find my place at Tufts.
Okay, I don't know. I'm showing my age. What's a digital fly-in?
So some schools, they have fly-in programs where they'll either fly in students from away, or they'll or students, pay to go there, but they can live as a student for a day on campus, or there's special events that are coordinated just so high school students can learn more about schools. So I did mine digitally on Zoom.
So virtual.
Yes.
So did they show you the campus layout or?
I think they showed us a video tour of the campus, and then we also had students came to talk about clubs on campus or groups on campus, just to get a sense of, what you can do and who you can be.
Yeah, it's pretty competitive, though, I'd imagine. I mean, that's a private school.
Yes,
yeah?
Yes, it is.
And from what I read, what you want to do, you want to be a U.S. diplomat?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, why that? Especially now I'm curious to know that. But we have a kako coming up about first-time voters, which basically are recent graduates who are now can vote. Politics is a very interesting time.
It is.
Yeah? You like that?
I do. I also when I was first thinking of what do I want to do, I really love traveling, and being in diplomacy, obviously you get to go to new places and experience new cultures, and I think that's what initially drew it to me. But I also, it's just very interesting how international politics is approached, especially now, and I want to learn more about it and then get involved.
I like that. Mainly East Asia concentration, or you're open to any place?
Initially it was East Asia for me, but I'm kind of open to whatever right now. I mean, I have a couple years to figure out exactly what I want to do or concentrate in. So right now I just want to explore as much as I can before I nail it down.
Yeah, you got time.
Yeah.
You got plenty of time. You're a paddler?
Yes.
Canoe paddler?
Yes.
I saw that. And dance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, your passions outside of school, is that fair to say?
Pretty much it. I used to dance when I was little, but then I stopped around 4th grade. When I was a freshman, though, which was actually during COVID, I started taking dance at school, and it was a really fun way for me to take a break from all my classes where I had to, be at a desk and do my schoolwork, and I could exercise other parts of my mind and my body. And then paddling is something that I started during my sophomore year of high school. And it was a really fun way for me to knock out my PE credit, but also be a part of a team.
Yeah, you folks did, West Cigars did well.
Sort of. Yeah.
Tufts has I think they have an oaring, what is that called?
Crew.
Crew, yeah. Interested?
If I have the time, I definitely want to try it out. People have told me like, oh, you're going to be on the East Coast. It's not paddling, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, and there's a lot of local kids who, from the paddling community, who do go to the East Coast, find that that's kind of their the perfect intro into water sports there.
Yes.
Maybe you can make your splash there too.
Yes, it's on my bucket list.
It's on your bucket. Good for you. I just always think about competition and again, the word pageant. Some people say, "Oh, it's a beauty pageant." This is really was a scholastic pageant. When you went to Alabama, where the nationals were held, what was that like?
It was very different. First of all, what everyone that I've talked to says is, at least from this program, I now have a friend from every state, and that's true. Like every girl there, you could tell was deserving to be there, but they're so kind and, they're so ready to make the most out of their time there. I really enjoyed getting to know other girls my age who are so passionate in so many different things. And it was just inspirational to see how they push themselves and how they're driven. And, I could kind of feed off of that in, rehearsal and on stage. I just drew from their energy of, wanting to be their best self on the stage and put forth my best performance.
I imagine, because when I do go to events or conventions or school activities, because I still was learning to the very end as well in journalism, once you say you're from Hawaii, yeah, people, it's amazing what a conversation icebreaker can be. I'm sure people lit up when they just heard that, oh, you're from Hawaii.
Yeah. So one of the girls I ended up getting pretty close to, I think the first thing I remember her saying to me was, so let's discuss you bringing me home with you. But yeah, they were all super, interested to learn, I guess, kind of the difference between here and the mainland. But yeah. It was a conversation starter.
Yeah, for sure. And it'll continue at Tufts.
Yes.
But there is a large local community or transplants and even students who head out to the East Coast. Did you take any kind of, was Japanese your choice of language in high school?
Yes, it was. I started in 8th grade. We were able to begin taking foreign language classes. And I took that up until my junior year and then couldn't fit it into my schedule during my senior year.
Jozu. So do you speak Japanese?
A little bit.
Skosh?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to use it or you will lose it.
Yeah.
I took 4 years at Kamehameha, and then 3 years at UH, Manoa. And then I was also a waiter in Tanaka of Tokyo, a Japanese restaurant in Waikiki, where I learned a lot of Japanese. But now, if I go to Japan, when I do, I struggle. So it's one of those languages, like all foreign languages, you really got to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is super, random. Do you say Iwashita or Iwashita?
I say Iwashita. That's probably the whitewash version it is the whitewash version of it, but that's just how my dad says it. That's how I grew up saying it. So I don't know. I feel like changing how I say it now would be a little weird, but
you've heard others obviously pronounce it like that.
Yeah.
Which people say is the correct way, like Yamashita.
Yeah.
Instead of Yamashita.
Yes.
But in Hawaii, we do things differently.
Yes.
Right? It's kind of like what school you went.
Yes.
Right? We all know you mean high school.
Yeah.
I was wondering when I read your name, as the first thing I said in my mind, Madison Iwashita. And then when I introduced you, it came out Iwashita.
Yes.
So you're okay with that?
It is fine, yes.
But it's a real thing for some people, totally random. It's not Hiroshima to those who live in Hiroshima.
Yeah.
Language.
Yeah, I know.
Just
crazy.
Crazy. Why canoe paddling? I'm a paddler as well. Why canoe paddling?
I always love swimming and being in the water. We have a pool in our backyard and I would be in it forever. My dad would call me a fish, but I wanted to try a sport. I really wasn't an athletic person. But canoe paddling, it's something that at Sacred Hearts you can begin in your freshman year. And so freshman year was COVID. It was a little wonky, but then I decided that in my sophomore year, I would try out to be on the team just because it was a water sport. And I figured, if I could be on the ocean, I must, be able to have a good time. But I ended up really liking it, really enjoying the challenge of pushing myself physically. Yeah. And also mentally. For sure. Yes.
For sure. And it's very team. People who maybe don't paddle don't understand, timing and all of those things that come into being a successful crew.
Yes.
Takes a lot of work.
Yes.
Both mentally and physically. Yeah, I always wonder what people drives it. Was it your parents, or for you, it's just love of water and ocean?
Pretty much. Yeah.
What's the toughest thing right now about being a young adult?
I
feel like I'm in the scholarship pad. What is the toughest thing about being a young adult? But what is to you as you enter into your next chapter?
For me, I just feel a lot of pressure about finding the right path for me. I feel going into college and choosing a major is I have to put myself on this path to have this career. But I don't know. It's a little scary to think that one day I just wake up and I decide, I'm going to be an international relations major. And then I'm stuck in that for the rest of my life. But I think college it's a very good time, or it's a very good place to put yourself in, because it gives you a lot of opportunity to explore and, dabble in different fields, learn about different things, and find out what I'm really passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, the career path topic, I know plenty of journalism majors who don't even do journalism, right? Or engineers who choose a different path when it comes to their passion and life. You don't want work to feel like work.
Exactly.
You should go to work and feel good about what you do, whether you're giving back to your community or you're, providing a service for somebody. So you got time for that too. You're never stuck. Mm-hmm. Even if you go into this direction, you can always adjust. When you talked about COVID, that's why I wondered, we saw a lot of mental health issues come up with teenagers, not only adults as well, obviously, but especially our teens, because they were that part of their life, the social part, was kind of taken away.
Yeah.
And for some, they never really recovered, and whether you had a chance to be self-reflecting or have a chance to, get it out, the yuck. I imagine you saw some of that even with your own friends, maybe even yourself, about depression or just sadness.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely hard when 1 week you're going to school with your friends, and then how it went for me is we went on spring break, and then it was we get an extended spring break. Nice. I won't be in school for another week or so. But then I didn't get to see my friends in person for a really long time. And it's super hard to, have this big life change where, you have to mainly be in your house, but then you don't get to be with the people who, normally are there to laugh with and talk with. I feel like one thing our generation did good with coping with the pandemic and, being isolated was we have our technology, we have phones, we have laptops, so we could connect kind of. But now I feel like everyone's on our generation because we're so attached to our phones, or we're so attached to our technology. And, it's definitely hard when you're so dependent on your technology, and then life, kind of goes back to what it was used to. But now you have all these bad habits that you can't break. Sometimes I catch myself, I'm up at night and I'm scrolling on TikTok, and my mom's like, get off your phone. You're going to ruin your eyes.
She sounds like a mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's hard. We found our ways to cope with it. But I don't know. It definitely changed my mindset and how I view. I'm definitely grateful that now I can be with my friends. But sometimes I wish that, I didn't have my phone with me all the time, because it's a bad habit to be looking at it constantly.
Well, it's the source of so much now, right? How we consume our entertainment, how some of us gather our news or get our news information. And that's something we heard with our Hikino students as well, that we have, that when it was time to go back to class, people forgot how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Right? Face to face. Even if you're good friends.
Yes.
Because you were talking to them on Zoom or FaceTime, whatever it's called. All of a sudden, you're like, oh my gosh, I have to have a conversation with you like this,
Yeah.
face to face.
Yes.
That was kind of jolting too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. It's like going back in person, or I feel like on Zoom, like, of course, when teachers ask questions, you're expected to raise your hand in class. But on Zoom, they have the raise hand feature, but it's I don't know. For some reason, like in all my classes, it was weird speaking up to talk online. Like, I don't know. I feel like my worry was I don't want to unmute the same time someone else unmutes.
Right.
And then we start talking at the same time. Like, so then going back to class in person, for me, it felt a little different in the sense where everyone was a little more quiet. Everyone was a little more reserved and kept to themselves. So classes were different, and then they also moved a lot more online than I experienced previously. That might also be because I transitioned from middle school to high school during the pandemic. But
Well, you had a 1-2 punch of transition in life.
yeah.
And now you're off to your next chapter, like I said, and you transition. I do want to ask you a couple more questions about the current, because we don't get a chance, and maybe we need to get in this space, we, PBS Hawaii and other media, to hear from your generation about the future. I mean, we're going to hand this off to you all, you know? Climate change, all this division in our world. I mean, even our own country seems so divided. What do you, and especially if you're going to be in this space, maybe in the future, what do you think about the world we're handing to you now? I feel like we're in the Olympic Games.
Yes.
And I'm about to hand this baton to you. And boy, I hope we don't drop it. But let alone, I hope I give you enough of a lead that you can finish strong. But what do you think about the world that we live in today?
It's definitely hard, when there's so much international conflict right now, or there's even within America, there's a lot of political polarization where, we can't even see two political parties find a common ground or find something to agree on. That's scary, but I also think my generation already has a lot to say. And I, in the news or in my school life, I see a lot of other young people like me already working to make a change. At Distinguished Young Women, I met so many girls who, at their school had groups where they, could advocate for what they believe in. So it's a little bit of a scary world to be handed to, but I think that my generation is pretty well equipped, or is at least learning how to deal with the challenges that are, that we face. And I have confidence that, maybe a new leaf will be turned.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that, because I know the world we're handing you guys right now is not the best, and sure, if I look back at my life when I was in your space, your time of life rather, I was nowhere near prepared as I think this generation is for the next step. Yeah, we worked and, we had part-time jobs and we learned about, but technology-wise and really just understanding what the big world out there, especially if you come from Oahu and Hawaii and all of a sudden like, whoa, this is a whole different world out here. You folks, because of technology,
yes,
you've experienced some of that, not all of it, but not only that, you've seen some of the yuck that communities experience, whether it be homelessness or crime, some of that things that are right at your fingertips. Yeah. Right. Back when we were young, we'd have to watch the evening news to understand what happened in the subway today. You guys see it like boom, like that. Yeah. So that's a lot to consume and understand.
Yes, that's definitely a positive of social media. There's like so much room for you to learn. And I think my generation, we probably, hear a lot just from being on social media, on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter. So I think it's good that we do have exposure to those things, especially if we are expected to be the leaders of the future. And obviously it's good to have so much information, but, you also do have to filter through it.
Right.
And, be mindful of, how much you believe to be true.
Right.
Upon
You have to sift through it. I mean,
Yeah.
the truth is, with this device, we're all reporters.
Yes.
Right? Even if we don't have
Yes.
journalism training, whatever
Yes.
that means.
I could post the wildest
But you
thing.
could be, everything is the word, right?
Yes.
And that's not necessarily the case. So misinformation
Yeah.
and all the other terms that we hear today, that in itself is a huge responsibility to digest and understand. You are so ready for this. You feel like?
I'm nervous, but I'm also excited. Yes.
Yeah, mom and dad excited for you?
Yes.
Yeah. It's just, just a 8-hour, 9-hour flight.
Yeah. It's no big deal.
No big deal. Well, Madison, I am very proud of you as a husband of a Sacred Heart graduate, and also just the fact that you represented Hawaii so well.
Thank you.
Good luck to you in your next journey. And when I look and talk to people like you, we're in good hands. Yeah. Sorry about the mess we left you. Sorry about that. But I think we're in good hands with young adults like you.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. Mahalo nui for joining us, folks. Join us next week, another episode of What School You Went. Until then, ahui ho.
What School You Went is a PBS Hawaii production. Music by Taimane Gardner. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and tell your friends. You can find us on pbshawaii.org and everywhere you get your podcasts.